Okay, welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us today in this conversation. We're super excited to be with you. We are excited to be surrounded by people that actually want to make a difference and to do something about it. And it's absolutely understandable that is, for us, that's what we call it, moonshot. It seems like a moonshot for many of us. We all have in our hearts something that we want to contribute to the world, that we want to change, that we want to make different than it is. Justin used to say, and I love the way he said, that nobody came to this world to keep things the same. And it's true. I mean, some of us, we always knew what was our calling, what is our calling. And some of us are still confused about it. Maybe we haven't paid enough attention to it. Maybe we have been distracted with other things, but we feel it. We know that there is something. And how do we know? Because many of us maybe feel that void, that something's missing in our life. We have success, or we have tried different things. We're following the rules. We're doing, following the book. And it still is something that is not that. It's not that yet. It's something that the material things, all the money that we can make, all the travels, all the cars, all the houses, all those things, the success, even the awards are not feeling. Is that missing, that sensation that I'm here to do something else, something bigger. I'm here to contribute, to make a difference, and to leave a legacy. And it's really important for any human to at least acknowledge that, to identify it, and to do the best we can to answer that call. But it's not easy. And we know that. We both have experienced that feeling, that having that urge to do something bigger than ourselves, to do something for other people, to go beyond our close environment and actually make an impact in the world. But maybe we're afraid that we're going to fail, afraid that we don't know how to do it. We have doubts. We don't want to destroy everything that we work so hard for to achieve. And that keeps us small. That keeps us playing small. And I'm here to tell you, we are here to tell you that the system that you want to change has socialized us to believe that, to keep playing small, to keep reproducing the system with all the things that we have learned since we were kids, that some things are not possible. And if they were possible, somebody would already done it, or it's not possible for us, or who am I? All those questions, all those limiting beliefs are beliefs that the system make us think that are true, and they're our own thoughts, our own beliefs. And that's not true. So here we are to challenge the system, to challenge society, everything that we have taught, we have learned, and we are reproducing, and to show you and to show everybody, to learn that making a big difference is not necessarily easy, but it's absolutely possible. And that each one of us can do it, because we have spent years studying that to understand exactly what it takes to make a big impact, what it takes to be, if not a history maker, at least a system shaker, what it takes, and how can we combine all the skills, talents, and experience that we have to help you develop that. So one of the questions that we have for you is, do you know what your calling is? Do you know what you're here to do? Do you have any idea?
And some additional context too, because I have a different, very unique lens, I think, ironically, here to this is, I have benefited from the systems that we're trying to change. I think we all have as Americans. I think America is still an amazing country with problems, with real problems. And so my lens is very American centric because I haven't tried, I haven't been to a lot of different countries. But so I want to say this, I want to be very transparent and direct. And is that I refer to myself sometimes as a SWAM, which is a straight white American male. And Many people have asked, like, what happened to Justin? When did he become, sometimes disparagingly, they call me a woke liberal, which neither of those things are true. And for me, it was first George Floyd's murder, and then January 6th. And that was sort of the twin moments for me to kind of have this social consciousness awakening. And I could no longer just do brand strategy for good people making cool shit. It just wasn't enough for me anymore. And so I took a huge gamble in that I walked away from my ownership in a successful brand strategy firm, and then launched Massive with Virginia. And again, being transparent here, because I think Virginia and I represent two kinds of stories. Virginia represents the story of someone that is traditionally marginalized, a woman, a Latina, an immigrant. I represent a large portion of the people that are waking up that benefited directly from the system. And that twin perspective gives us a chance to have some empathy and compassion for those that also feel this calling, and also those that are successful, financially successful, but they got this itch that won't go away, that they need to do something with their influence and their affluence. And so today, this is a Q&A. It's an open conversation. And so the format is pretty simple, is we would love to have one or more of you raise your hand and ask us a question, and we're going to take it live. If you allow your camera to be turned on, that would be excellent. If you're shy, and that's okay, you can put it in the chat and we'll still answer your questions. And we're going to spend about 20, maybe 30 minutes doing that. So we have plenty of time. So bring any questions you have about your calling, about all of this. And then towards the end, about 20 minutes left, we're going to debut. You will be the first to see, and then those of you watching this recording later will be the first to see, some of the first to see a new experience we've created for people like you, people that are interested in reorganizing your life, your career, your business around your calling. So that's what we're going to be doing today.
And part of the intention today is to bring about those questions, to bring it to light, the questions, the concern, the doubts, the fear. I mean, we're being very vulnerable today and saying, like, well, this is what is stopping me. Mm-hmm. What do I do about that? There is an answer to this, or it's just me.
Yeah.
So share it with us.
Yes.
Because we might have had the same questions and concerns and fears, and we figured it out somehow, and we're figuring it out with other people as well. So you're not alone.
Yeah, Virginia, Maria has a question that I think we could both answer, which is more for us, which is, how did your calling appear and evolve? So
well,
go ahead.
I can start. Okay, my calling actually was started very early. I grew up in the middle of a war in Nicaragua during the 80s, and I witnessed firsthand all the injustice and all the oppression and discrimination that all kind of people from all sectors experience. And I had the privilege to be part of the solution since I was a teenager. So I got involved in social movement and in the feminist movement, and I start understanding how the system is creating this, but also had the experience to be part of a major movement that actually changed that system. And I learned from that first, it is possible, and second, that my contribution was valuable, that I had many things that I can contribute with. So I started, let's say some people start with the awakening, and then they turn that into their life and their practice. That was my life first, and then it makes sense to me. Then I work on making sense of all that and turn it into something that I can do intentionally and on purpose, and adding the plan, adding all the other traits, and working on my mindset so I keep doing that the rest of my life. So that was kind of my story, coming from, and I have to experience it and adapt all that to new realities every time. I mean, I started as a teenager, as a social leader and a student leader when I was very young, during the war. But then after that, as an immigrant, as a woman, as an adult woman, as a Latina. I mean, I had multiple identities that offer me the opportunity to fight for something right. So that's kind of my experience.
Yeah, and I kind of answered mine as far as most recently in the last few years between George Floyd, the pandemic, the rise, or not even the rise, but the overt takeover and attempts by Christian nationalists of our country that all sort of fed into it. But to be honest with you, this calling I have has evolved over the years, but I identify it this way, and it goes back to years. Here, I was 5 or 6 years old when I realized this, and it's basically to make white people uncomfortable. I think that's really what it is. As again, a straight white American male. So, Marriott also asked, how do you identify a calling versus just an itch or something you want to do? That's such a great question. And I'll take a run at it. And then Virginia, if you want to, love to hear your thoughts too. So I thought about this a lot, actually, Marriott. And the calling, if you don't do it, can actually lead to almost an existential crisis. It can lead to depression. It can lead to anxiety. It can lead to a sense of malaise. It's almost like soul sickness if you don't do it. I think an itch could be just restlessness, or it could be, I want to try something new. Or some people have a love, as I do as an ADHD, or a love for novelty. But your calling, not following your calling, you can almost reverse engineer from it, that you don't feel, it's what I call, you get the disses. You get disembodied, disengaged, disassociated, disconnected. You get the disses. And that's because, and sometimes our soul uses our body to do that. We get a somatic response. Our throat tightens, or we have trouble breathing, or we get headaches, because the soul is using the body to tell us to wake up and go ahead and do this. And so those are some indicators of a calling. It feels huge and terrifying. That's one of the big ones too. Virginia?
And another one from my experience is this something that is consistent through your life. Even if you can't identify it yet, it's something that has been there all your life, and somehow you have tried to answer it in different ways, even if you were not completely aware of that. For instance, in my case, I changed careers many times. I mean, I started as a lawyer, then I went into communication for development and communication for social change. Then I became a system thinker, an expert on complexity science to understand how systems work, and organizational coach, and then leadership coach. That what I perceive as I was evolving as I was reflecting on this, and I got the right mentors, the right coaches, the right guidance, I realized that my whole life, my purpose in life was to challenge the system, to change people's paradigms, the way they understand the world and the way they understand themselves and their role in the world, to change it. And I did that with myself, and I've been doing that with other people for many, many years. So it's not really about what you do. It's something that has been present. I went to law school because I wanted to understand how society works and why we behave the way we behave and how we can change it. And law school was not enough of an answer. So I went to communication for behavioral change, for social change, and I got many answers from that, but that was not enough. Complexity science gave me more information about how the system works and how it keeps us oppressed and how it uses our brain and our mind to reproduce it. And then the coaching gave me the tools to be able to translate all that knowledge and all that expertise into something that can help other people to do the same and to follow their own path. So what happened with callings is not something, and the difference with each is this not something contextual. It's not something temporary. It's not like, oh, my calling is to do something about the war in Gaza, for instance, or, you know, the children that is happening now. Maybe it's more about violence. Maybe something that you have felt in your gut against violence, any kind of violence, any kind of oppression and injustice. If you look back to your life, you will see the consistency of that call in, you know, projected, manifested in different ways. And it's when you make sense of that, you say like, oh, this is my calling. This is what my heart has been trying to say and to do my whole life. It's just that I didn't figure it out, or I didn't know how. That's the difference for me.
Katie's raised her hand, Virginia, so I'm going to go ahead and, Katie, promote you to panelist.
Right. Yay. Let's chat.
She's coming back in. There she is. Hi, Katie.
Hi. Hi.
Hi.
Hi, I'm having a hard time turning my camera on.
Interesting. Well, we'll just go with audio.
I'll just say this really quick. Yeah, audio is fine. It just says you cannot start your video because the host has stopped it. So I don't know if there's another layer, but I don't have to be on camera.
Okay. I don't know why it's doing that, but go ahead. Nice to hear your voice at least.
Thank you. And thanks for creating this space for all of us. It's really, really a great way to gain some clarity and have our voices heard and really make choices in our life mindfully. I think it's really amazing how Virginia's always lived this. So she's built her entire self-perception so beautifully through such challenging times. And then on the other end, Justin, you had an awakening and you had the resources available to you to walk away from a company and just start something new. So in Massive, how would you carry someone through in the middle of that, where they have to stay connected where they currently are, but they need to start living their purpose where their feet are? They can't just make those big transitions quickly. What tools would you all have available to help someone elevate?
Yeah, great. You want me to take a run at that, Virginia, first, or do you want to go?
Go ahead. Yes.
So such a great question, Katie, and really kind of the question is because
Amber has the same question, so it's good.
Oh, great. This is perfect. So first of all, we realize that there is reality. There's the reality of, you especially if you have a business that you're running in particular, or you have a career and you've got mortgages and kids and all that. There's real life. And that's what makes it such a challenge, because the system, to Virginia's earlier point, is sort of set up that if you benefit from the system, why would you want to change it? And so we actually have a client that is in a very similar situation. And this is about almost like subversive in a good way, being subversive in a positive way, in that he still has his day job, which is an executive within a large company. And but he is slowly building his social profile as a thought leader in his particular thing within the LGBTQT Christian community. That's kind of his thing. And so he's slowly building his profile. He's decided to do his as a nonprofit so he can accept donations for what his mission is, to end religious abuse. And so what we have done with him is we have aligned his Moonshot strategy with his life realities. He lives in Manhattan. He's got a day job. He's got a husband. And so these are real things for him. And by walking alongside with him from a reality standpoint, we are not trying to convince people that you have to just blow everything up in order to do this. Two specific things to your question, Katie. One is it is to get extremely clear about what your mission or purpose is and have the language to talk about it. essentially outside of your business circles. You could almost think of it for now as like if you're you got a day job and you're an artist and you start gigging, you start doing weekend gigs at, Saxon Pub in Austin, Texas, or whatever. You could look at it that way, or you're side gigging in some way. You are still working on it, but you're not. You're preparing for the future. The second thing is really more of a mindset thing, which is following your calling will require risk. It will not necessarily be this easy transition from into organizing your life fully around it. So I think it's important to have milestones. So one of the things we do, and you'll see this when we talk more about it in the Moonshot experience, is we're establishing milestones based off of your realities. And we don't really believe as coaches in holding people accountable, but we will remind you of the calling and the commitment. And that combination of getting very clear about your message and your mission and having milestones that you're working towards, you unlock something, which is courage almost always trails action. We don't wait for courage and then take action. We take action and then we start to build courage. And these little incremental steps over time, they're multi-purpose. They're building your future and they're building your courage, and you're getting reps, which is a huge thing here, to get reps in related to how to talk about what you're doing. And we guide you through that entire experience. So we've been working with the client we were mentioning now for a year and a half, and his big debut about what he's doing will probably be out in the Q2 of next year. So he's being very methodical about how he's doing it. Some of our other clients are like, this is what I want to do and I'm ready to go. And so we're comfortable obviously working within whatever your realities are. And that's the key point here.
To complement that answer that Justin just gave, there are many things. I mean, the most important thing is to understand what your calling is, and to say, like, this is what I'm here to do. This is what this is what I'm meant to be. And after that, we help you analyze what is your reality, what you want to keep doing, what you want to keep, and what you want to change to answer that call. And there are many options. Actually, we have infinite options. One option can be that maybe, and that happens with some people, is like, I don't want to keep doing this anymore. So how can I do the transition to do something completely different? I mean, like in a professional transition right now, I feel stuck where I am and I want to do something different because I want to do more what my heart is calling me to do. And we help you to do that transition. It's not throw everything away and start from zero, out of nothing, but to do the transition. We can help you plan that. That's an option, saying like, I want to start again. I want to do something that I'm really passionate. I've been doing something that other people tell me I should be doing, and now I want to follow my heart. That's one option. That's a radical one, but it's always an option. The other one is saying like, I love my business. I love what I'm doing. I'm passionate what I'm doing. I just need to tweak it a little bit so I can use my brand, my power, my influence, the resource that I already have within my business, because of my business, to support that cause. And that can be through using your brand to really become a speaker, let's say, become the image, become the voice of a cause, and to lead other business within your industry to support that cause. You can use your brand, your current brand, to do that. Or you can say, for instance, I help many years ago, I helped someone that says, I'm not a big person. I don't have a big business. I'm just a Black girl that wants to build a salon. Imagine, I mean, when we think it's like, well, I'm nobody, I have nothing. Like, what can I do? This girl wanted to build a beauty salon, and because that was important for her, that she was a lot about aesthetics and make women and other people feel beautiful. And she said, but I care about social justice. I care about racism, and I want to do something about it. And working with her, she ended up saying like, it's not gonna be any salon. I'm still gonna do that. I'm still going to run my business, and the business I want to do, but it's going to be a salon that is specialized in showing Black women how beautiful it is to be a Black woman, and to vindicate the features that we have, our curly hair, our Black skin, our curves. And so it was about really a salon, because it has that kind of services, let's say. But behind that was a changing paradigm about body image and about racism and about challenge white supremacy around beauty. So she became a spoken person for that kind of thing. So you don't have to be Elon Musk, or you don't have to be Bill Gates to say, like, I need billions of dollars and then I might be able to do something. You can start anywhere. It's more about understanding what is your heart calling you to do, and then see what you have, what can you have, and what can you build to answer that call. So we can start anywhere, and we can take it anywhere, as long as you're clear in your path and you're clear at what you want to do.
And it goes to even running a larger, let's say, if you're not a solo brand, if you own a company or you're the leader of a company, every company can be a social impact brand. It's not necessarily directly related to your business model. Warby Parker is a B Corp, as an example, or Patagonia are examples. So thank you so much for the live question, Katie. If anybody else wants to get a live response, please raise your hand. We're going to go to Tito's question. There's two questions here. And I think, Virginia, maybe you take the first one, I'll take the second. The first question Tito has is, what were the steps you took to make your Moonshot calling a reality, both financially and emotionally? And I'll do the second question.
Okay. To make your Moonshot a reality in terms of finances, that's part of the work that we do. We design with you a strategy, a plan, how you can, depends on what you want to do. Either you already are making profit with your current business, and we help you use that brand and twist a little bit that brand to become a social brand, and you still make profits. Actually, we help you to increase the level of loyalty of your following, your audience, your community, your clients, your customers, because they will join you because they identify with what you're saying now, what you're representing now. Or we design a plan, we help you design a plan that will create profit based on what you really want to do. So that's the math, let's say. And when I talk about changing the world, when I talk about shaking the system, challenging the status quo, we're really talking about two things. There are two pillars. There is the math and there is the drama. And that is to answer the second part of the question. The math is the how-to. How do I build a business? How do I become a thought leader? How do I build my brand around this cause? How is the how-to? And we have many ways to help you with that. And then there is the drama. That is the real thing that will stop you. That is the real thing that even if you have all the how-tos figured it out, it can still stop you. If you don't manage your mind, if you're still fearful, if you have doubts, if you lack self-confidence, if you let other people or circumstances or the system to gaslight you, to ostracize you, to make you feel crazy, to really use your own emotions against you, to use your limiting belief against you, that's something that we need to work on, and we help you to work on, so you develop the skills, the mental and emotional skills that you need to keep the fight going, to really don't lose track of your sight and your vision and keep going no matter what, and whatever comes your way, you are prepared to play with that, to serve the change. It's not fighting the waves, it's to get on the wave and serve the wave to get to where you are. So that is the combination of all those skills. It's like the how-to plus the mindset that will allow you to get to achieve your moonshot, whatever it is. I mean, I promise that is possible if you manage both things.
And I think too on the, and I'll answer Tito's second question here in a second, but part of it is and I'll just say it this way, it's almost from a spiritual component. So is when there is this sort of universal law, I guess you could say, almost like cosmic physics, is when you take steps towards your calling, you will be provided for. Maybe not in the way that your ego brain wants you to be provided for, but there is a track record of history of that. And using a great big example is Gandhi, and the billionaire that financed his movement. And if you look into, Gandhi called him his fourth son, even because he was so influential, and even the changes that this man helped fund affected his businesses temporarily for the negative. So there is abundance or provision or something, it does come. So and it's not even really, to me as a spiritual person, a matter of faith. It's just sort of cosmic logic. Tito also asked, if someone has many interests and one or two might be a calling, but you have this overwhelming feeling there's not enough time, how do you choose where to start? And I think there is a hierarchy of attention, this illusion that we can sort of multitask. We can multi-think, especially us neurodivergents, but we can't multitask. It's like we can't look at more than one thing at a time. We have focus and peripheral. So the focus is, this is where we often use, and we map this out in the Moonshot on the first day. The Moonshot immersive is a sextant. A sextant was an instrument used by sailors and surveyors before digital technology, and it was a device that took a reading off the North Star and a fixed point on the horizon to give you direction. The North Star is your mission. The fixed point on the horizon is your vision. And when you know what your mission is, and again, back to what we've been saying about mission clarity and the confidence to express your mission, that's why it's so important, because you got to lock into that. And then your fixed point on the horizon is your vision for the future of what you want to be doing. And what the fuel is that gets you to that point on the fixed point on the horizon is what I call long passion. It's the thing that even when you're tired, you still care. It never goes away. It's something you get weary in your body and your mind from doing it, but it's not like a passing fancy. And again, as someone that I have lots of passions, but I have a long passion going back to, again, 3 or 4 years old, for justice. And that has carried me through the most unexpected elements of a story, because it's long passion for me. So thank you for that.
There is another question from Stephanie. Justin
go ahead.
says,
I saw that. Go ahead.
It is possible to take your calling and purpose into an organization to drive large impact, to change the status quo, to be a creator, a challenger, a coach from within? Or is the activation of this calling best done as an entrepreneur and business owner? Do you want to answer that?
You go ahead.
Yes.
Go ahead. No, I think we should both answer, because we both have a different perspective, but go ahead.
Okay. I just want to make sure that I understand the question, but I'm going to answer both things the way I understand it. If you're talking about, can I become the leader of a systemic change within my own organization? The answer is absolutely yes. I mean, maybe that's the way to start. And maybe you become so influential, and especially if you have some level of decision-making position or a power, that you can turn that organization after the transformation within to become a leader of a specific coast, and to become the organization also a systemic changer itself. So you can start from within your organization or within your industry, or start with your organization and then start working on the industry and the whole industry itself. Or you can start as a business owner and a business leader. The difference is you can do that, or this is another way to understand this question is, like, do you have to be a for-profit organization or company to be able to do all this? And the answer to that second part is no, absolutely. I mean, nonprofit organization, one thing they have clear is their mission, is their vision, is their calling. They know that. What they lack sometimes, and I know that because I come from the nonprofit sector, I've been working with the nonprofit sector for decades. What they lack is enough resource, mostly the independence, the autonomy of deciding what to do with those resources. That's an advantage that business owners have and companies for profit have, that nonprofits sometimes they struggle with, that autonomy to make decisions, the political autonomy around the money that they have and the resources that they have. But absolutely, you can be a nonprofit, and if you have the right brand, and you have the right message, that's something that some nonprofits struggle with, and you know how to really allocate your resource in an effective way, that you understand how to change the system. That is not the way we've been taught. It's way more complex than that. But if you know how to do it, and you have the right mindset, because so many social leaders are suffering burnout right now, are just giving up. It's just like, it's too much. They're suffering depression. They burn themselves out in the process because they don't have the right mindset, the right mental, emotional skills to keep the fight going. So they know their calling. That's the advantage they have. But they might lack the other traits that you need to actually change the system. Business owners, they have more autonomy in terms of financial, because they can provide themselves. They can have a sustainable business that can provide for the resource they need, but they also need to work on the right mindset and the right brand and the right message and the right strategy to actually change the system without losing their feature as for profit. So I hope that answered your question.
And just a couple of thoughts on that too, Stephanie. Thank you for the great question. Inside of an organization, we call that often a system shaker, because they're shaking the system inside of the company first. You need a couple of things. You need political juice. It's just a reality. You don't necessarily need authority. If you're in a socially conscious organization, there is generally a sense of autonomy to be yourself. But you do need political juice, and that comes from building your personal brand as a leader. And the second thing that you need is a clear business case for this. This is something that's often overlooked, because there's something, the soul language and business language are often incompatible, but there is a way to translate so that they both work together. And part of that is just having a very clear ROI, return on investment, for this. And one of those is a mantra I've used for years, which is, it's always good for your brand to take a stand. And you go back to, and it was not new for Nike to take a stand with Colin Kaepernick. But there was this idea that has begun, that DeSantis calls, if you go woke, you go broke. Turns out factually just to be completely wrong, is that if you take a stand for something that's important to you as a brand, the people that believe in what you believe will buy more from you as a type of support. But you take that to the senior leadership, and you're like, hey, we're going to be more public about something that is, that you think is important. If you don't have a brand strategy, a communication strategy, and you don't have the strategic plan and the ROI lined up, it's sort of wishful thinking in a lot of ways. So it has to use the rules of reality in order for it to be effective inside of an organization. And if you're a small business owner, or the majority owner of a business, this is a beautiful thing. You can do whatever the hell you want. That's the courage part, though. The brain, the ego brain, especially the ego brain of a business owner, does not like rejection. But being who you really are and following your calling and organizing your brand around your calling is going to lead to rejection. You are going to get a raft of shit from the marketplace, from people that don't agree with you, but they weren't going to be customers anyway. So it doesn't matter. And ultimately, what we're inviting people to do here, whether you're a corporate leader or a small business owner, or you're not sure yet, maybe you've got a long career, but you're in this kind of deciding point. is really what we're dividing you to do is to stop having a split life, to stop having a work you or a business you and a spiritual you. They are one and the same, and the world needs to feel the weight of who you truly are. It has to do that. That is the first step of courage, is I will no longer live a split life. That's the first step. And so whatever your path is, that's the first step, the first invitation. I don't see any new questions coming through, Virginia.
They are.
Okay.
There are a couple. I mean,
Okay.
Mariette said, I can answer the first one. You can answer the second
okay,
one.
I see it now. Thank you.
Is why did you use the word moonshot to name this next experience? And does it mean the same for both of you? Yes, it means the same for both of us. And there are many ways to explain it. I mean, we have a specific definition that we share on our social media, but in general is, let's call it the impossible goal. And we put it on quotation mark. Is the impossible goal, according to you, is what is your moonshot, your impossible goal, something that you really want to achieve that seems right now, seems something so far away, so impossible to achieve. So, you know, you might have a lot of doubts and you might have a lot of doubts around you. That's why we call it the moonshot, because we believe that doing good things within your current system, just keep doing good things to appease your consciousness, to feel that at least you're doing something, is really not enough. We all have a moonshot. We all have something that is, what if? What will happen if I dare to shoot that far? And what if I fly all that, all the way there? So our call right now, our invitation is for you to think really big and to think, just give yourself the opportunity to think, what if I succeed? What if it's possible? And what if it's possible for me to do that? So that's why we call it the moonshot.
And it's this kind of, I'm going to take your second question, Mariette, and put it with Lori's question about mission and vision, because mission, vision, and values are now like commonplace, but we have a wildly different way of going about them. And the first of all is they're not statements to us. To me, a mission statement is usually evidence that you had a committee meeting that came up with something that nobody likes, and then you made the foolish decision to put it in print on the wall of your conference room. We have all seen that as an example. Or vision statement, the same thing, is it becomes kind of box checking. It's your mission and your vision, no statement. The mission is the driving why, to use a Simon Sinek term, about why you're doing this. And the vision, we are using vision very specifically here to a certain part of the brain called the reticular activating system. This is basically where the optic nerve attaches to the reptilian part of our brain. And it's where our neocortex creates symbology. And we often use this example of whether it's the Oscars or the Super Bowl of these rich people holding trophies and crying. It's because of the symbolism. So having the vision is the tangible evidence that you did it, the tangible evidence of success. That could be the trophy. It could be something, it's always something. And we, in the moonshot experience, on day one, we figure out what that is, and then it becomes a totem or an icon that is a representation of where you're going. The other thing about a mission is that it is, by its nature, has two things. One is you are its first follower. So you don't have to have your shit figured out. In fact, please don't, because it leads to arrogance. Having some insecurity or some humbleness about your mission and knowing that you're its first follower causes you to ask for help. And that's good. You need to ask for help. And the second thing about a mission is it will be the most important thing you will share every day. And what will happen is the trivial will become even more distasteful because you want to talk about this. And most people that come to us are so pent up because they cannot move the language of their mission from their soul to their mouth, that there's this outpouring that is so liberating I had one client once, when she found her mission, she got up and ran around the room laughing and crying, because it's cathartic to be able to finally say this thing. So those are some differences between mission and vision. All right, so let's, we got about 10 minutes left in our scheduled time. We might run a little bit long since we started a little bit later. We're going to go ahead and pull up, I'm going to go ahead and pull up the deck, and we're not going to do, I promise you, we're not going to read the deck word for word. We're just going to show you what it is. Everyone that is on this call, this webinar, and also who registered for it but couldn't attend, will have access to this. So let me go ahead and pull that up. And so, as Virginia said, we called it Moonshot because we both agree on what it is, because it's audacious, it's bold, and it is it's something that is transformative. So, whoops, let me see here. Bear with me a second. Okay. So again, we're not going to go through the, slide by slide in the deck. You'll be able to read it all later. But we want to get to this definition is the definition that we like, that we found is an ambitious, exploratory, and groundbreaking project undertaken without any expectation of near-term profitability or benefit. And to Virginia's point earlier, a moonshot in the literal sense, but also in the spiritual sense of how we're referring to it, you need guidance, you need a plan, you need the right mindset, and you need resources. That's what makes it doable. Otherwise, we're like the crazy neighbor building the rocket ship or the tying weather balloons to a lawn chair to try to get to outer space. In order to make it real, we have to really think strategically.
Or not necessarily crazy, but we are like many activists that are really passionate about what they believe and what they want to change, but they are not prepared to do it and to sustain the fight, either for lack of resource or for lack of skills and the right strategy. Exactly.
So what we wanted to get into is some of the experience. So the first day, and I'll do day one, and Virginia, if you want to do day two, and we can both talk about day three. Yeah. Day one is really the inner work. So it's where we sit down and we update your mission, vision, and values, as we said. We do the Make It Massive idea mapping, which is a strategic planning. We apply strategic planning principles and agile planning to your cause or calling. And then we get into kind of the brand components of this. And this is my like best in the world, in particular, in understanding the psychographic profile of your ideal audience. Who are you inviting to the movement? Who are you, if you're a for-profit, who's your audience that you're going to invite to participate in your mission by buying from you? Or if you're a nonprofit, who are your donors and your influencers? Category design is another huge component here. Category is the conversation you want to own. So I go back to our client. He wants to own the conversation about ending religious abuse, especially for LGBTQ Christians. And the last two things are on day one are crafting the core language and the narrative. This is the foundational language. Sometimes I call it the sourdough starter for all of the market-facing presence that you'll have. Your social media, your website, your keynotes, your workshops, if you write a book, if you launch a podcast, whatever you're doing has a core language, and we figure that out on day one. And then finally, we create your thought leadership strategy, because as we said earlier, you have to be willing to be a thought leader, to be the face of the idea. And so we map out what that looks like within your current realities.
Well, day two is a little bit of the challenge too, is what Justin just explained was what I was using the metaphor before of a foundation. It's kind of the math. It's like who you have to become, how you're going to show up, how you have clarity about everything and have a plan and have the steps that you need to take to start building that movement, to start moving things forward. But then day 2 and day 3 a little bit is the behind the scene. It's like, okay, now you know what you need to do. Now you're clear about your mission, your vision, your goal, how you're going to achieve, who you're going to work with. You're clear about that. You know how, you know the steps, but now we have to work with your mind. It's like, what's going to stop you? You have all the rules, all the steps, everything, but what's going to stop you? So understand how your mind works. What are your limiting beliefs? What you think is impossible for you? What are, we challenge a lot of the things that are going to get in the way, because they are going to get in the way if we don't address it early enough. So what it means impossible for you, what it means unrealistic, what will make this goal unrealistic? And let's go through the obstacles. Most of them are subjective. Most of them are in your mind. So we go through all of them and we design strategies to address, to prevent them, possibly, but if not, to overcome each one of them. And then we create really an exercise that is the fail setting. It's like, in other words, it's like, I'm gonna fuck this up. I mean, I have the perfect plan and have everything. It's like, how I'm gonna get in my own way. And we address that. And we really create kind of a plan, a mindset plan, because the point is that it's not just about doing the things that you need to do to create the change. You need to become the person that is capable of making all that and making that change. You need to become the next version of you. And that is a mindset work. And we plan that out too as well. And we have, for many of us, our clients, we have a moment in that day 2 where we create a big challenge for them as a way of giving them the opportunity to prove themselves that they can do things that they never thought they will be capable of doing. And that's like a kick, a little bit of a kick, saying like, man, if I can do this, I might be able to do the next one. Yeah. And the third day. Mm-hmm. The third day is, now we go deep into the mindset. We review what is for you, what it takes for you to have a success mindset. And we go through, as I was saying, limiting belief, biases, insecurities, things that you need to develop, maybe self-confidence, maybe self-worth, maybe some specific skills. We work to, we don't hide anything. We say, like, let's bring the worst case scenario. Let's face it. There is no better way to destroy fear than challenge it, that really face it. Instead of being afraid of something, saying like, bring it on, let's work it now. So we bring the worst case scenario and we prepare for the worst case scenario, because if you're not afraid of fear, you're not afraid of anything.
Right. Okay. Yeah, and so the last part of the day of day 3 is really the plan, like, and understanding. We do a full asset review of what you're working with, including even looking at like the financial, the financial risks or the financial investments that are going to need to be made, how to structure the business or if it's a nonprofit, on how to make it accessible for other people to contribute to what you're doing. And then we have a very clear, again, using Agile, next steps and timeline. And we do this rolling top 5. And one of the things we build for you is a kind of a workflow. And again, so we're bringing this whole like arsenal of expertise related to neuroscience, branding, strategic planning, project management, consciousness, spirituality, bringing it all together for you, so that when you leave the immersive, you're really transformed. That is our goal, is that you are not the same person that arrived on, the day before day 1. You're a transformed person and people will notice. And so The way we've designed the immersive is it's 3 days, typically here in Austin. We find a customized, very cool venue or a space that you feel creative and free and safe. And we have the immersive. There's within the 3 days, there's plenty of like spaciousness for reflection time. And then we provide you some post-immersive tools, including a couple of momentum calls. And at that point, if you would like us to continue to coach you, we can work on something there. And so you already know our story and our values. So when we talk about this pivotal before and after moment, we're really looking that when you do this immersive, that you're more excited than you were. And excitement comes from clarity. You feel affirmed. And we say here that you're not crazy for doing this. You feel emboldened, which is you're ready to face everything that's coming forward, especially related to the greatest threat, which is your own mind. You feel equipped. And in some ways, because this is a retreat, very few people do this, especially business leaders, where they pull the car, they leave their business for a few days and they go work on something that is of lifelong value to them. There's a sense of renewal that will come from it as well. So anything else, Virginia, that you think that we should let people know about related to the Moonshot experience?
I think I mute my phone because there is a noise outside, but I think that the only other thing is that this is a framework, but we personalize everything. So when we get on a call, if you decide to give this a shot and you say like, this is for me, or this is for someone I know, and we jump on a call and we talk a little bit about what is your idea, what are your needs, what do you need from us, how can we help you better? We take all this framework, we make sure that we go through all the important elements, but we personalize it for you. So it's not a formula, it's everything depends. For instance, somebody asked if we can do a duo, like there is a partnership and both of them want to do this together. Absolutely, we can tailor this for a person, for two people, and depends. I mean, sometimes you have done some work before and you have some things already figured it out, but you need more help with some things. So we put more emphasis on that. So it's very highly personalized.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I just posted in the chat a link to a discovery call. We're all grown-ups here. We like, this is something where this is our calling and our purpose. It's why Massive exists. And so we like getting all of the questions out before any decisions are made related to moving forward. And that could be related to pricing, fee structure, timing, as Virginia said, the customization. And our kind of like reminder is, if this feels right for you, let's figure out how to do it together. Give us an opportunity to work with you to figure out how to do it. And so I think we've covered all the questions that have come in. I think that we have covered pretty much what we need to cover for the Moonshot. Again, everyone will be receiving this recording and they'll be receiving a link to the Moonshot deck. We encourage you to read it, share it. And a kind of a final call to action here, if you will, is what other conscious business leaders do you know? Please introduce us to them. Please send them to our website, send them this deck, send them this recording. We are very intentionally building Massive through word of mouth, but word of mouth from a certain kind of person, the kind of people that are on this call today and the kind of people that are watching this recording. Marriott, real quick, this is a one-to-one with both of us. This is a private experience. We are not at this point planning on doing the Moonshot as a cohort. There's a lot of what we call emotional nudity and it's very raw and real and intimate. And therefore we want it to be as private and safe as possible.
And you get both of us, both of our brains dedicated exclusively to you.
Right, exactly. All right, please book a call if you want to learn more. And thank you for your, oh, here's another question. Thank you, Mariette. We're going to keep answering them until as long as they come in. We're not doing virtual right now. We can do the days staggered out. If you don't want to commit to 3 days, we can do, a 1 day here and kind of spread it out. But Zoom is not good for the soul most of the time for this type of stuff. And being in the same space and feeling each other's energy, being able to eat food together, being able to get tangible, that's, I think, such an essential part of the experience. All right, now we're going to go. Thank you all so much for your time. We love y'all. Spread the word. Have a good rest of your Friday.
Thank you.